Mia, a small girl barely 1 meter tall, had a delicate, slender figure. Her youthful face, which looked no older than 10, was filled with pain and fear. She wore a simple white dress, and her large, round eyes mirrored the distress she was in. Her swollen abdomen contrasted sharply with her small, fragile body. Next to her, Liam, a man whose face was etched with anguish and worry, rushed into the hospital, carrying the girl in his arms. His voice trembled with desperation as he shouted, "Doctor, please, she's about to give birth." Liam's desperate cries echoed through the hospital corridors, drawing the attention of everyone nearby. Nurses, shocked by the scene, hurried towards him, while patients and their companions watched with a mix of astonishment and concern. "What's happening?" one of the nurses asked, trying to maintain her composure as she approached the couple. But as she took in Mia's condition, her professionalism was tested by the indignation rising within her. "She's in labor," Liam exclaimed, his voice breaking with desperation. "Please, we need help." Without hesitation, the nurse called over the intercom, her voice urgent. "We need a stretcher at the main entrance quickly." As they waited for the stretcher, the nurse knelt beside Mia, who was barely conscious from the pain. "Hang in there, little one. We're going to help you," she said gently, though inside, confusion and outrage swelled. How could such a young girl be in this condition? When the stretcher arrived, they carefully placed Mia on it and swiftly wheeled her towards the emergency room. Liam tried to follow, but another nurse gently but firmly stopped him. "I'm sorry, sir, but you have to stay here," she said, her voice filled with compassion. "We'll take care of her. We need to know what happened." Liam nodded, his face a mixture of anguish and despair. She's my responsibility," he murmured, his words almost choked by the gravity of the situation. "I can't leave her alone." In the emergency room, the medical team worked frantically to stabilize Mia. The on-duty doctor, a man with years of experience, had never seen anything like this. As he washed his hands, he reflected on the moment his shift began, thinking it would be a quiet day. "What kind of monster would do this?" he muttered under his breath, his eyes filled with indignation. "She's just a child." Meanwhile, in the waiting room, whispers turned into hushed conversations as people tried to make sense of what they had witnessed. "Did you see that girl? She can't be older than 10, a pregnant woman remarked, her face pale with disbelief. "And the man with her?" added another, his voice tinged with suspicion and disapproval. "He must be the one responsible. How could anyone do something so horrible? He must be a pervert," another whispered in disgust. "He should be in jail for what he's done." Amid the growing tension, Liam sat in a corner, his head in his hands, trying to block out the biting comments surrounding him. He knew he couldn't let their words affect him. The most important thing was Mia's health. In the operating room, the doctor approached Mia, trying to offer her some comfort before she went under anesthesia. "I'll do everything in my power to make sure you're okay," he said, his voice filled with fierce determination. As the procedure began, the medical team prepared for the unexpected. Nurses moved quickly, bringing supplies and avoiding eye contact with the man waiting for news outside. Their thoughts were with the young girl on the operating table, and one question echoed in their minds. How had she ended up in this situation? Time seemed to stand still as the hospital was enveloped in an atmosphere of tension and expectation. Outside the emergency room, murmurs filled the air, a mix of indignation and morbid curiosity. But at the heart of the drama was only a girl and a medical team fighting for her life, and that of her child. Liam Jones sat in one of the hallway chairs, his face buried in his hands, sobbing quietly as worry consumed him. Mia had been rushed in to give birth, and the uncertainty about her condition tortured him. Around him, the whispers grew louder, turning into audible and judgmental conversations. "Did you see that girl? She can't be older than 10 years, murmured a woman to her companion, disbelief evident in her eyes. "And the man with her," another replied, his voice dripping with disdain. "What kind of monster would do something like that? He must be a pervert," someone else added, their voice full of disgust. "He should be in jail for what he's done to that poor girl." Liam lifted his head, his eyes red and swollen from tears. He tried to ignore the comments, but each word felt like a dagger piercing his heart. He knew he couldn't change others' perceptions at that moment, but the uncertainty about Mia's condition consumed him. "We have to call the police," a voice from the back of the room exclaimed. "We can't let something like this go unchecked." A nurse who had been observing the scene approached Liam, her face a mixture of indignation and professionalism. "Sir, we need you to tell us exactly what happened," she said, her tone firm but tinged with compassion. Liam looked at her with desperation. "Mia, she needs help. That's all that matters now," he responded, his voice trembling. The nurse, recognizing that she wouldn't be able to get much more information from him in his current state, nodded in understanding. "We'll do everything we can for her," she assured him, trying to convey a sense of calm and support. Nearby, an older woman with a deeply furrowed brow and arms crossed tightly across her chest could no longer contain her anger. "It's a disgrace. That man should be locked up," she shouted, her voice filled with indignation as she directed her fury toward Liam. "Yes, we can't allow someone like that to walk free," another person chimed in, and soon others joined in, their voices rising in a chorus of condemnation. "Please, everyone, calm down," one of the head nurses intervened, her tone firm as she attempted to restore order. "We are in a hospital, and our priority is to care for our patients. But we can't ignore what's happening," a young woman retorted, glaring at Liam with disdain. How could someone do something so horrible? The waiting room buzzed with murmurs of agreement, and some people began pulling out their phones, presumably to call the police. The tension in the room became almost unbearable. Liam, feeling cornered and overwhelmed by the hostility surrounding him, closed his eyes, trying to block out the escalating chaos. Suddenly, a tall and burly man stood up from his seat, his face set in determination. He approached Liam with heavy, deliberate steps. Without saying a word, he grabbed Liam by the collar and yanked him from the chair. "You're a miserable person," the man shouted, his face flushed with anger. "How could you do this to a child?" Liam, startled and terrified, raised his hands in a gesture of surrender. "No, wait, you don't understand," he stammered, his voice trembling with fear. "There's nothing to understand," the man snarled, tightening his grip on Liam's collar. "You're a monster, and you need to pay for this." The situation teetered on the brink of violence when a nurse rushed over, trying to separate the man from Liam. "Stop! Let him go!" she yelled, positioning herself between them. "We've already called the police. They'll handle this." Reluctantly, the man released Liam, shoving him back into the chair with a forceful push. The nurse quickly checked to ensure Liam was unharmed before turning to the enraged man. "I understand your anger," she said, her voice firm yet compassionate, "but we cannot allow violence here. Let the authorities handle this." Liam, breathing heavily, remained seated, desperately trying to regain his composure. He knew there was nothing he could do at that moment to change the opinions of those around him, but he needed to stay calm, for Mia's sake. A few minutes later, 2 police officers entered the waiting room, their expressions serious and professional. They made a beeline for Liam. "Sir, we need you to come with us," one of the officers said, placing a firm yet non-aggressive hand on Liam's shoulder. "But Mia, Liam tried to protest, but his voice cracked with emotion. "We'll investigate what's going on here," the other officer assured him, "but we need you to come with us to clarify some details." With a heavy heart and a mind clouded with worry, Liam stood up and followed the officers, the weight of the situation bearing down on him. The murmurs and judgmental looks from those in the waiting room trailed after him like shadows. He knew he had to explain the truth, but at that moment, all he could think about was Mia's safety, desperately hoping that the doctors could save her. The walk to the police car was a walk of shame, each step echoing in Liam's mind, a painful reminder of the gravity of the situation. The whispers and disdainful glances from onlookers were like poisoned arrows piercing his soul. Once at the police station, Liam was led to a stark interrogation room. The room was cold and sterile, with gray walls and a softly buzzing fluorescent light overhead. The metal table and uncomfortable chairs only heightened the sense of isolation and despair. "Sit down," ordered one of the detectives, gesturing to the chair across from him. Liam complied, feeling the cold bite of the handcuffs on his wrists. "I'm Detective Parker, and this is Detective Davis," the man said, opening a thick file on the table. "We've received reports suggesting you've committed a very serious crime. We want to hear your side of the story." Liam took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. "Mia is not a child," he began, his voice firm but laden with emotion. "She's my wife. She's 25 years old, but she has a rare medical condition that makes her look much younger." The detectives exchanged glances, their faces unreadable. "You expect us to believe that?" Davis asked, his tone dripping with skepticism. "It sounds like a convenient excuse." "It's not an excuse," Liam insisted. "We can provide medical documents to prove it. She has been diagnosed with a pituitary gland dysfunction that affects her growth." Parker leaned forward, his expression stern. "Then why hasn't anyone heard about this condition before? And why has no one else confirmed your story?" "We need more than just your word," he said, crossing his arms. "From where we're sitting, the situation looks very different." The interrogation room door suddenly opened, and a determined-looking lawyer walked in. "I'm Liam Jones's lawyer," he announced. "I demand to speak with my client privately." The detectives exchanged a look before reluctantly leaving the room, allowing Liam and his lawyer to speak alone. Mr. Williams, the lawyer, sat across from Liam, his expression a mix of concern and determination. "Liam, I've spoken with Mia," Mr. Williams said. "She's fine and doing everything she can to resolve this, but you need to stay calm and trust that we'll clear things up." "Thank you," Liam whispered, feeling a wave of relief wash over him. "This is a horrible misunderstanding." "I know," Mr. Williams replied, "but we need to prove it with evidence. I'm working on getting Mia's medical documents and contacting her doctor." When the detectives returned, Mr. Williams stood up, facing them with resolve. "My apologies, detectives, but my client is entitled to a fair defense. Here are the preliminary documents proving Mia's condition." Parker took the documents, examining them closely. "This is just the beginning," he said in a stern voice. "We need to verify every detail. Until then, Mr. Jones will remain in custody." "This is unfair," Liam protested, desperation creeping into his voice. "Mia needs my support, and I am also a victim in this situation." "I understand," Davis said, though his tone remained skeptical. "But until we can confirm everything, we have to proceed cautiously." The following hours were a blur of uncertainty and agonizing waiting. Liam was taken to a cell, where time seemed to crawl. His thoughts swirled like a storm, filled with memories of happier times with Mia and the harsh reality they now faced. Meanwhile, the hospital was engulfed in an atmosphere of urgency. Mia Walker, the young woman with a childlike appearance but a noticeably swollen abdomen, was quickly taken to the delivery room. The situation was so unusual that it became the subject of hushed whispers among the hospital staff, who were filled with disbelief and concern. Dr. Carter, the lead doctor on duty that night, hurried toward the delivery room, his mind racing with questions. How is this possible? He wondered repeatedly. He had encountered unusual cases throughout his career, but this was something entirely new. Prepare. As Dr. Carter entered the delivery room, he immediately recognized the urgency of the situation. Prepare for an emergency cesarean, he ordered, his tone calm yet commanding. The nurses and assistants moved swiftly, expertly preparing the surgical instruments and making sure Mia was ready for the procedure. She lay on the stretcher, her eyes closed, her face pale from pain and exhaustion. Despite her fragile appearance, the unmistakable signs of advanced labor were evident. "Doctor, her vital signs are stable," one of the nurses reported, breaking the tense silence that hung over the room. Dr. Carter nodded in acknowledgement as he donned his surgical gloves. "All right, let's begin," he instructed. As Dr. Carter made the first incision, his focus remained on the task at hand. But as he continued, something caught his attention. He couldn't help but notice how perfectly developed Mia's internal organs were. Her uterus, ovaries, and other organs were all in excellent condition, like those of a fully matured adult woman. This observation struck him as unusual, given Mia's outward appearance. "This is incredible," he murmured under his breath, but his quiet exclamation did not go unnoticed. The head nurse, Mrs. Collins, looked up with a mix of curiosity and concern. "What's going on, doctor?" she asked. Dr. Carter paused briefly, meeting her gaze. "Mia's organs are completely normal for a woman in her 20s. There's nothing that explains why she looks the way she does," he said, his voice tinged with astonishment. The team worked in silence, processing this unexpected information while focusing on the task at hand. After a tense few minutes, the silence was shattered by the loud, clear cry of a newborn baby. A collective sigh of relief swept through the room. "It's a boy," Dr. Carter announced, lifting the newborn so Mia could see him. Her eyes fluttered open as she caught her first glimpse of her son. The nurses quickly took the baby to be cleaned and checked, ensuring his well-being. Dr. Carter, now fully focused on Mia, meticulously completed the procedure, making sure there were no complications. Once satisfied, he ordered Mia to be moved to a recovery room. He removed his gloves and mask, deep in thought. "We need to investigate this further," he said aloud to his team. "Something here doesn't add up with what we know." Hours later, as Mia began to regain consciousness, she slowly opened her eyes, blinking against the bright light of the room. A nurse stood beside her, holding her baby, now wrapped in a soft blanket. "Mia, your son is healthy and strong," the nurse said with a warm smile. "Would you like to hold him?" Mia nodded weakly, her eyes filling with tears as she cradled her son in her arms. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice breaking with emotion. The nurse watched the tender moment before gently interrupting. "Mia, we need to talk about your condition. There are some things Dr. Carter needs to understand." Mia nodded, knowing this moment was inevitable. "I know. I'm ready to explain." Dr. Carter entered the room, his expression serious. He approached Mia's bedside and sat in a nearby chair. "Mia, your internal organs are fully developed, like those of an adult woman," he began carefully. "However, your external appearance is that of a child. Can you help us understand how this is possible?" Mia adjusted the baby in her arms and took a deep breath. "I have a rare condition called hypopituitarism," she explained softly but firmly. "It affects my pituitary gland, preventing my body from growing and developing normally on the outside, even though I'm an adult on the inside." Dr. Carter nodded slowly as he processed this information. "That explains a lot, but we need to document all of this correctly. We'll need to contact your previous doctors and gather all possible records." Mia looked down at her baby, then back at Dr. Carter. "I understand. I'll do everything I can to help." At that moment, a nurse entered the room, her expression anxious. "Dr. Carter, there's something you need to know. Liam, Mia's husband, has been arrested by the police. They're accusing him of a serious crime." Mia's world seemed to collapse around her. "No, this is a mistake," she exclaimed, her voice filled with despair. "Liam is my husband. He hasn't done anything wrong." Dr. Carter stood up, his expression hardening. "I'm going to speak with the authorities. We need to clear this up immediately." The next few hours were a blur of anguish and waiting. Mia was interviewed by several nurses and doctors who tried to gather all the necessary information. At the same time, Dr. Carter worked tirelessly, contacting the doctors who had treated Mia in the past to obtain her medical records. Finally, Dr. Carter arranged a private meeting with the police chief, Captain Thompson, in a room at the hospital. "Captain, I need to speak with you about Liam Jones," Dr. Carter began, his tone formal and urgent. "I'm listening, Doctor," Captain Thompson replied, his face impassive. "Liam is not a criminal. His wife, Mia, suffers from a rare medical condition that affects her physical growth," Dr. Carter explained, handing over a folder with Mia's medical records. "These documents prove it." Captain Thompson reviewed the documents carefully, his expression softening slightly as he read through them. "I understand, Doctor. This is very unusual, but we'll do everything we can to clarify the situation." Meanwhile, in the recovery room, Mia held her baby tightly, praying that everything would be resolved soon. Finally, the door opened, and Dr. Carter entered with an expression of relief. "Mia, I have good news," he said softly. "Captain Thompson has reviewed the documents, and they are willing to release Liam while we continue the investigation. Everything is going to be okay. Mia let out a sigh of relief, tears streaming down her face. Thank you, doctor. Thank you for everything. At that moment, Liam was escorted back into the room by 2 officers. His face showed signs of tension, but it brightened as soon as he saw Mia and their son. Mia, he whispered, approaching the bed, I'm here. Mia looked up at him, her eyes filled with love and gratitude. Liam, everything is going to be okay now. We're going to get through this together. As the family reunited, Dr. Carter and his team continued their work, documenting the case and ensuring that Mia and her son received the best possible care. Mia's case would go down as one of the most memorable in Dr. Carter's career, not only because of the rare condition she had, but also because of the strength and love that she and her family displayed through it all. Mia's delicate health, due to her small stature and medical condition, required her to stay in the hospital for extended care. The news of her situation quickly spread throughout the hospital, sparking both curiosity and deep empathy among the staff and other patients. Every day, Liam stayed by Mia's side, caring for her and their newborn baby with such devotion that it touched everyone who witnessed it. Even the nurses, who were accustomed to all sorts of situations, couldn't help but feel a twinge of envy as they watched the care and love Liam lavished on his wife. One morning, as Mia lay in her hospital bed, a nurse named Mrs. Parker approached with a warm smile and a tray of breakfast. Here's your breakfast, Mrs. Parker, she said kindly as she placed the tray on the bedside table. Today, we have oatmeal, orange juice, and some fresh fruit. Mia struggled to sit up, her voice soft but full of gratitude. Thank you, Mrs. Parker. Everyone here has been so kind to me. Mrs. Parker nodded, adjusting the pillows behind Mia to make her more comfortable. It's the least we can do. Your case is very special to all of us. Just then, Liam entered the room, carrying their newborn son, Noah, in his arms. His face lit up as he saw Mia, and he leaned down to kiss her forehead. Good morning, my love, Liam said tenderly. Noah and I have come to see you. Mia's eyes sparkled with love and gratitude as she smiled at Liam. Good morning, Liam. How is our little one? He's perfect, Liam replied, cradling the baby gently. He's strong and healthy, thanks to you. Mrs. Parker watched the tender scene unfold with a smile. Liam, you're a wonderful father. We don't see someone as dedicated and loving every day. Thank you, Mrs. Parker, Liam said, looking at Mia with adoration. I would do anything for my family. As the days passed, the deep bond between Liam and Mia did not go unnoticed by other patients and the hospital staff. Their love and dedication became a frequent topic of conversation, generating admiration and respect. One afternoon, as Liam was helping Mia walk down the hallway to strengthen her legs, an older patient, Mrs. Adams, approached them with a kind smile. Excuse me, she said. I just wanted to say that you both have inspired me a lot. Seeing the love and care you have for each other is truly beautiful. Mia, leaning on Liam's arm, responded, Thank you, Mrs. Adams. We've been through a lot together, and we're grateful to have each other. Mrs. Adams nodded, her eyes full of understanding. That's what matters. Love and family are the most important things in life. Though Mia gradually recovered, her condition still required ongoing care. Liam remained by her side every day, making sure she was comfortable. He brought her fresh flowers, read her favorite books, and ensured she had everything she needed. One afternoon, as Liam was helping Mia settle in after a brief walk, one of the younger nurses, Miss Taylor, approached them with a shy smile. Excuse me, she said, a little nervous. I just wanted to say that everyone here talks about how wonderful you are, Liam. The way you take care of Mia and your son is truly inspiring. Liam smiled gently, squeezing Mia's hand. Thank you, Miss Taylor. I'm just doing what any husband would do for the woman he loves. Mia looked at Liam with tears of happiness in her eyes. You're the best, Liam. I don't know what I would do without you. Miss Taylor, visibly moved, nodded. You're a very special couple. I hope both of you recover soon and can enjoy your life together. Liam and Mia's relationship touched not only the nurses but also the medical staff. Dr. Carter, who had been closely monitoring Mia's progress, often stopped by to talk with them. Liam, Mia, Dr. Carter said one afternoon while reviewing Mia's chart. "I'm impressed with how you've handled this situation. Your love and dedication are truly remarkable." "Thank you, Doctor," Liam replied as Mia nodded in agreement. "We're grateful for everything you've done for us." Dr. Carter smiled, closing the chart. "It's a pleasure to help such a strong and united family. Mia, your recovery is progressing well. With a little more time and care, you'll soon be able to go home." The doctor's words brought a wave of relief and hope to Mia and Liam. They knew the road to full recovery was still long, but they faced each day with determination and the unwavering support of those around them. As the sun set over the hospital, painting the sky with warm hues of orange and pink, Mia lay in her bed with Liam and Noah by her side. She felt a deep sense of peace and immense gratitude for the life and love she shared with her family. "Mia," Liam whispered, gently stroking her hair, "I love you more than anything in this world. Nothing will change that." "And I love you, Liam," Mia replied, her eyes filled with emotion. "Together, we can overcome anything." Surrounded by the warmth and support of their loved ones and the hospital staff, Mia and Liam knew that no matter what challenges they faced, they would always have each other. Their love, stronger than ever, was the true force that sustained them and guided them toward a bright and hopeful future. After several weeks in the hospital, the day finally arrived when Mia, Liam, and little Noah could return home. The sun shone brightly in the sky, signaling a new beginning for the young family. Liam gently pushed Mia's wheelchair as she held Noah in her arms, his rosy face and bright eyes curiously taking in everything around him. "We're ready to go home, Mia," Liam said with a warm smile as he helped his wife slowly get up from the wheelchair. "Everything is going to be okay." "Yes, Liam, I'm ready," Mia replied, feeling a mix of excitement and relief. "I can't wait to start this new chapter with our family." As they left the hospital, they were greeted by a crowd of journalists and photographers. Camera flashes went off incessantly, capturing every moment as the family made their way to the exit. "Mia, Liam, how do you feel about going home?" shouted one of the journalists. "We feel incredibly blessed and grateful," Liam replied, gently squeezing Mia's hand. "The love and support we've received have given us the strength to overcome everything." "Mia, tell us about your experience in the hospital," another journalist asked, extending her microphone toward her. Mia smiled, her eyes filled with gratitude. "It's been a difficult journey, but we've had the support of a wonderful medical team and our family. I'm very grateful for all the love and care we've received." As they continued, the reporters kept asking questions, but Liam and Mia remained calm and thankful, aware that their story had touched many hearts. Once home, the family began to adjust to their new life together. Time passed quickly, and Noah grew up healthy and strong, surrounded by the love of his parents. Liam and Mia's story is a poignant tale of love, resilience, and the triumph of the human spirit. It has touched the hearts of many, serving as a powerful reminder that true love can indeed overcome any obstacle. 6 years after the beginning of their journey, on a quiet summer afternoon, Liam and Mia found themselves sitting together on their porch. The setting sun cast a warm golden light over their home, and the sound of their son's laughter filled the air. Noah, their pride and joy, was playing happily in the garden, his innocent delight adding a special warmth to the moment. Liam looked over at Mia, his eyes filled with pride and love. "Look at our little one, Mia," he said, a smile spreading across his face. "It's amazing how he's grown." Mia squeezed Liam's hand gently, her gaze following their son. "Yes, he's a wonderful child. I can't believe how much our lives have changed since he was born." Liam nodded, his heart swelling with emotion. "We've been through so much, but every moment has been worth it. I'm so grateful to have you and Noah." Mia's eyes welled up with tears of happiness as she looked at Liam. "And I have you. Your love and support have been my strength. I don't know what I would do without you." Liam leaned in, kissing Mia softly. "I'll always be here for you, no matter what the future holds. I know we can face it together." As they shared this tender moment, Noah ran towards them, his face lit up with a mischievous smile. "Mom, Dad, look what I found," he exclaimed, holding a small insect in his hands. Liam and Mia laughed. their hearts filled with joy as they watched their son's excitement. "That's wonderful, Noah," Liam said, patting his son's head. "You're an amazing explorer." As the sun set, the family remained on the porch, basking in the tranquility and happiness of simply being together. Their love, tested and strengthened over the years, had become a beacon of hope and inspiration for all who knew them. Liam and Mia's story is not just a tale of love. It's a profound exploration of resilience, compassion, and the strength of the human spirit. Mia's journey to motherhood, despite the challenges of her rare condition, highlights the incredible power of perseverance. She never gave up, even when the odds seemed insurmountable. Liam's unwavering support and dedication exemplify the true meaning of love and partnership. Together, they showed that love isn't just about the good times, but also about standing by each other during the toughest moments. Their story teaches a valuable lesson about not judging others based on appearances or incomplete information. Despite facing judgment and prejudice, Liam and Mia remained strong, focusing on what truly mattered: each other and their family. It's a reminder that everyone has a unique story, and we should approach each situation with empathy and understanding. As we reflect on Liam and Mia's journey, we are reminded of the importance of love, resilience, and compassion. Their story encourages us to face life's challenges with hope and to cherish every moment with those we love.